Welcome to the Drawhunter. I am your charming host, Kevin Cleary, and this is the soccer gambling podcast where we don't pick any winners or losers. We hunt for the result that pays better, the draw. We like to bet the draw because draws happen a lot. 30% of all pro matches end in a draw. And that is across all of the professional leagues and international competitions, and it happens year after year, season after season. And since most soccer bets at a sports book are settled on a result after regulation time, which is 90 minutes of play plus stoppage time, unless otherwise stated, if a game goes into overtime or penalty kicks, that usually doesn't apply to our draw bets. So we are looking for matches with near-perfect possession splits and goal margins and historical matchups that make them prime candidates for a betting deadlock. And these are the games where parity pays off. And look, even if you want to bet on winners or your favorite team or whatever it is, running down the games through this perspective is still a valuable handicapping tool if you're serious about not throwing your money away. So let's dive into last episode's results first. Last episode, released on Monday, covered all of the midweek games, mostly the UEFA Champions League, the Europa leagues, and the EFL Championship League. We had some picks there. In the UEFA Champions League, Bayer Leverkusen and Newcastle United played to a lovely 2-2 draw for us. The odds were plus 240 on that one. It was their first ever competitive meeting, as I said on Monday. And after the draw that Newcastle had last week, I had said that this one could be a high-scoring draw, and they went ahead and did it at 2-2 each. I went on and on Monday about the opportunities for draws that were presented in the EFL Championship games in the last episode. And I said we were going to see a lot of draws on Tuesday in the Championship League, and we saw 4 draws out of 8 games played. I picked 3 of them. Watford versus Sheffield Wednesday, Preston North End versus Coventry City, and Sheffield United versus Norwich City were all games that I highlighted as serious high draw potential, and all 3 of those ended in a draw. The 4th one that I picked, QPR and Birmingham, was almost another winner after a 93rd minute equalizer by Birmingham, but then Queen's Park Rangers scored in the 6th minute of 7 minutes of stoppage time and blew that whole thing up for us. Inter versus Liverpool was another one that was really close for us. There was 88 minutes of draw in that game, and then Liverpool scored and messed the whole thing up. So close. We were so close. In the UEFA Europa League on Thursday, Ludogorets versus PAOK came through for us with a 3-3 tie. So, all in all, it was a successful week of midweek action for us. And there's a lot of league action, this weekend across Europe. So we're going to analyze those draw contenders right after this quick message from the SantaBarbaraMint.com. The SantaBarbaraMint.com offers a carefully curated collection of the finest limited edition and one-of-a-kind collectibles from the coolest franchises in entertainment. The best of the world's TV, movies, video games, comic books, anime, science fiction are all in the vaults at the SantaBarbaraMint.com. Use code DRAWHUNTER at checkout for a one-time 20% off your whole purchase. Not just one item, people. The whole thing. Everything in your shopping cart, 20% off. They have a set of pins right now from the movie Elf that would make a great stocking stuffer at Christmas for the people you love. SantaBarbaraMint.com. Do some holiday shopping there. Support our sponsor. Use code DRAWHUNTER, save 20%. Now let's get into the games and the picks. Okay, today we're going all over Europe with league action in several countries. These are the fixtures that I think combine low scoring averages, balanced possession, injury disruptions, historical draw frequency, and market pricing that combines to give us the contrarian value that we want in a draw bet. First, we're going to start in the Premier League on Saturday. We've got Burnley versus Fulham at Turf Moor, a home game for Burnley. They are plus 300, Burnley. is on this one. Fulham is minus 109 as the away team. The draw is plus 235. Burnley has 45% possession, ball possession rates on average. Fulham is at 52%. Burnley has 14 goals scored, 28 allowed. Fulham has 19 goals scored, 22 allowed. They are technically the better team here, but they are a little weak when they're on the road. When they're away from Craven Cottage, they have some they tend to underperform, I should say, in a very nice manner. Injuries: Burnley is missing centre back Bayer. Fulham is missing a striker, Muniz. 2 out of the last 4 games played between these two teams were a draw. Fulham has edged possession. Fulham is just a rough road team, plain and simple, and I think that's what makes them a really good draw candidate for this weekend. And then we're going to jump over on Saturday. We're going to jump over to Serie A in Italy. We've got Parma versus Lazio at Ennio Tardini Stadium in Parma. Parma is plus 270. The draw is plus 220. And Lazio is the favorited away team here again. And much like what we just saw with Fulham, they're just not great on the road. Possession-wise, Parma is a 48% ball possession rate. Lazio is 55. So they're right in that range that we like to look for. Parma has 15 goals scored, 20 allowed. Lazio has 19 goals scored, 18 allowed. Parma's got a couple of center backs out. Lazio is just not great on the road, and I think the last game that they played, by the way, was a 2-2 draw. Both of the managers of each team love points, even if they only take them one at a time. The market is leaning under on this game also. They're not counting on both teams scoring a lot. They're looking at the under 2.5 is minus 149. I think a both teams to score 1-1 draw value play is the way to go here. So let's jump over to La Liga in Spain. We've got Mallorca versus Elche playing at Saint-Moi Stadium, a home game for Mallorca. The home team, Mallorca, is plus 140. Elche is plus 210. The draw is also plus 210. Possession rates, Mallorca is at 47%, Elche is at 44%. Mallorca has scored 13 goals, allowed 16. Elche has scored 11 goals, allowed 19. Sum that one up, they both know how to concede goals, period. They've both got a couple of injuries. Mallorca's missing Mariki. Elche is missing Fidel. Here's why they are here, though. 5 out of the last 7 matches between these two teams has ended in a draw. 3 of them were 1-1. There was a 0-0 game, and then there was a 2-2 game. There's a lot of pressure on Mallorca not to lose here. They are 2 points out of the relegation zone right now, and cannot afford to drop any further. They will take 1 point if they have a chance to. Any parlay I play this weekend starts here at the Mallorca-Elche game. Again, 5 out of the last 7 games between these two teams, home and away for both sides, has ended in a draw, and that's the kind of historical numbers matchup that we look for here. Staying in La Liga, we've got Getafe versus Espanyol at the Coliseum. Getafe is plus 155. Espanyol is plus 215. The draw is plus 185. So the draw is actually, but the Vegas is considering that the draw is more likely than an Espanyol win. Not too far off of a Getafe win. So ball possession rates, Getafe is at 44%. Espanyol's at 46%. Getafe has scored 15 goals. They've allowed 17. Espanyol has scored 14 goals, and they've allowed 18. They're very balanced teams performance-wise here. There's a bunch of injuries on both sides. Getafe's attackers, Mata and Greenwood, are out. Espanyol has a back four rotation that they're dealing with right now. 9 out of the last 28 games between these two teams has ended in a draw. I went way back. These two teams know each other very well. Both teams to score, I think, is a good bet here. I think this is a strong 1-1 potential finish for these two teams. And they're just very balanced. They're very balanced. So now we're going to jump over to the Bundesliga, where we have Frankfurt versus Augsburg playing at the Deutsche Bank Park. And Frankfurt is the home favorite here at minus 144. Augsburg is plus 360 as the visitor. The draw is plus 300. Frankfurt is a little bit better team. They've got a 52% ball possession rate. Augsburg is 46%. Frankfurt knows how to score. 22 goals scored, 18 conceded. Augsburg is 17 scored, 21 conceded, so they're a little bit upside down. There's some injuries in Frankfurt's rotation. Knopf and Rode are out. The Augsburg back line has some absences right now. Head-to-head stalemates are pretty strong, and that's why they're the historical aspect is why they're on the list today. 5 out of the last 8 games between these two teams ended in a draw. Augsburg specializes, if you look at their history, Augsburg specializes in coming to Frankfurt and taking home a point as a souvenir. That's what they do. So I think this is another 1-1 possible game that's going to wrap up. But this is one of my favorite games. I love Frankfurt and Augsburg today. So also in the Bundesliga, we have Gladbach versus Wolfsburg playing at Borussia Park. Gladbach is 50% ball possession rate. Wolfsburg is 49%. The odds, Gladbach is an even money home favorite here. Wolfsburg is plus 245. The draw is plus 270, which I think is a little nuts on Vegas's part. Gladbach has scored 18 goals. They've given up 20. Wolfsburg has scored 17 goals. They've given up 19. Gladbach has a couple of injuries, missing Neuhaus and Omlin. Wolfsburg is without wind in this game. This is a volatile series. They know how to. These are another two teams that know each other very well. 4 out of the last 11 games between these two teams were draws. A little bit over the statistical norm, and I think the draw angle rises if the phases offset. And this is another game where Wolfsburg would gladly, the manager of Wolfsburg, would gladly take a point home from this game and not worry about winning and just settle for a draw at any time. Next up in the Bundesliga, we've got St. Pauli versus Heidenheim. And this game is being played in Hamburg. Pauli, goal possession rates, 51%. Heidenheim is 45%. Pauli has scored 14 goals. They've conceded 18. Heidenheim has scored 12. They've conceded 20. Pauli is missing Paracata and Conte, and Heidenheim is without Schmitz. Only 1 out of the last 4 games between these two ended in a draw, so it's a very normal percentage profile there. But the bottom of the table, St. Pauli, would love to get a point here, but they need to climb over Heidenheim to get out of the relegation zone. So there you go. That presents them a challenge, and that challenge is not just winning, but getting any point possible, and they would take that too. We're getting to this point near the half season where every point is important to all of these teams in every league. So speaking of league, Ligue 1. Over in France, we've got Rennes versus Brest playing at Rozon Park. Rennes is a minus 120 favorite at home. Brest is a plus 300 dog on the road there. The draw is plus 270. Rennes has the ball about 55% of the time. Brest has the ball about 48% of the time. Rennes has scored 22 goals. They've conceded 18. Brest is 17 scored, 21 conceded. They've each got a key injury in this one. Rennes is missing Fofana. Brest is without Ajorque. 2 out of the last 5 games between these teams were draws. This is a compact contest with, I think, a very tight tactical play that we're not going to see a lot of chances being taken by either team on the pitch this weekend. And that is it for Saturday's games. As we move on to Sunday's games, we're going back to the Premier League, where Sunderland is playing Newcastle. Newcastle, who have drawn the last 2 games that we've picked them, this midweek action and the week before against Leeds. They're playing at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland is plus 225. Newcastle is plus 125 on the road. The draw is plus 230. Ball possession rates, Sunderland's at 45%, Newcastle's at 50%. Sunderland averages 1.2 goals scored per game. They concede 1.2 goals per game. Newcastle's statistics, they score 1.3 goals per game. They concede 1.3 goals per game. This is a bit of a derby. 1 out of the last 2 games that they've played were draws, and 8 out of the last 24. So we've got some derby tension. We've got models showing a solid, I think, 40% draw probability in this game. I think we're looking at a classic 1-1, 2-2 profile, and that's what Newcastle has been doing a lot of lately, especially on the road. Next up, we have West Ham versus Aston Villa, playing at London Stadium. Another derby weekend here. We've got, oh gosh, look at that. Villa's even money. West Ham is plus 260 as a home underdog. The draw is plus 250. Villa's got the ball about 53% of the time. West Ham is at 47%. Villa scores 1.6 goals per game, concedes 1.2. West Ham is almost the exact opposite. They score 1.1 per game, and they concede 1.5. There's some minor injuries on both teams, but nothing very major for each one to deal with. But the reason that they're here is the history between these 2 teams. Again, 2 teams that know each other very well. They know their strengths, they know their weaknesses, and 3 out of the last 6 games over the last couple of years were draws between these 2 teams. Their head-to-heads have repeated splits. They have compact defenses and control swings. I think the 1-1 draw sits right there waiting for us to play it. I think this is a great first half draw bet also, which I need to mention more often because some of these games are really good contenders for that first half draw bet also. So then we're going to jump over to Serie A, where we've got Fiorentina versus Verona. And they're playing at the Stadio Artemio Franchi. Fiorentina is the minus 120 home favorite. Verona's plus 360 on the road there. The draw is plus 235. Fiorentina has the ball about 52% of the time. Verona's ball possession splits are 45%. Fiorentina scores 1.3 goals per game. They concede 1.4. Verona scores 1 per game and concedes 1.2. There's not a lot of injuries on either side here, so I think we're also looking at the history between these 2 teams who like to fight it out. 4 out of the last 11 games between these 2 teams were draws. Both sides trending towards under 2.5 goals based on that lack of scoring that I just outlined a minute ago. I think tactical parity between these 2 teams this is another one of those tactical parity games. I think we might get a 0-0, maybe 1-1, but I'm leaning towards 0-0 in this game. Then we've got Celta Vigo versus Athletic Club over in La Liga. Baleados Stadium is where this game's being played. Celta's the home team. Celta is plus 160 as the home team. Athletic Club is plus 180. The draw is plus 230. Celta's at 48%. Atletico is at 50% ball possession. They're both very balanced teams there. And look at this. Goals for and against. Celta scores 1.1 a game, concedes 1.3. Athletic scores 1.2, concedes 1.2. Only 2 out of their last 10 games has ended in a draw, which is very a little low statistically. But the balanced goals for, goals against, the tactical symmetry both teams bring to the pitch has put them on our list, and the algorithm has flagged them as a really strong draw potential for this weekend. Then we go over to the Bundesliga, where we've got Freiburg versus Dortmund. Dortmund's been another good team coming through for us on all of our draw bets over the last month or so. They're playing at Europa Park Stadium. Freiburg is the home favorite at minus 225. Dortmund is plus 120. The draw is plus 245. It feels like there's a little bit of conflict there. But ball possession-wise, Freiburg is at 46%. Dortmund is at 51%. Dortmund is supposed to be the powerhouse here, but Freiburg is the heavy favorite at home. Freiburg scores 1.2 goals per game. They concede 1.4. Dortmund scores 1.6 per game and concedes 1.3. Dortmund has some depth issues, some injuries. They've been playing a lot of games lately. They're in the international competitions in the Champions League, etc. Only 3 out of the last 20% of the last 15 games were draws. Freiburg's home resilience plus Dortmund's volatility, I think, leads us to what could be a very high energy clash between these two teams. I'm looking for more scoring that will lead us to a draw rather than less this time. I think we're looking at like a 2-2 game, something like that, where the goal is going in the net a bunch during both halves, and that will lead us, hopefully, to the draw that we want as a result. Last up, from Ligue 1, we have Lens versus Nice at the Stade Bollard de l'Est, which I'm sure I mispronounced a little bit there. Lens is a home favorite at minus 208. Nice is a plus 500 long shot on the road. Draw is plus 360. Oh, I do love those fat plus 360 numbers. Look at that. Ball possession rate, you would think that those numbers wouldn't be so... The differential between those odds numbers wouldn't be so great, because Lens is a 50% ball possession rate. Nice is a 48% ball possession rate. Lens scores 1.3 goals per game, concedes 1.2. Nice scores 1.2 per game, concedes 1.1. They're very close there. They're very balanced. There's really not a lot of injuries on either team that are notable or to be taken into account on this one. Excuse me. 12 out of the last 27 games between these two teams ended in a draw. They're two compact, possession-balanced sides. I think their low goals allowed profiles are lining us up for the opposite of the game I just talked about. I think this is another 0-0, 1-1. Classic Ligue 1 stalemate. My top 3 picks for this week. I think those are all the games that we have right now. I said 3 picks. I think I'm going to go with 4. I've got Mallorca versus Elche. I've got Burnley versus Fulham. I've got West Ham versus Aston Villa. And I've got Gladbach versus Wolfsburg as my top 4 picks for the weekend. These are the hidden value draws where the market is overpricing outcomes too heavily, I think, towards the favorites and the volatility. These stand out as the strongest expected value draw bets based on all of the numbers that we run and the algorithm that we crunch here. So good luck to everybody. I know I've got a couple of, I think that Mallorca game and Burnley look to be one of my parlays that I'm going to go with this weekend. So that's it for this episode of the Drawhunter. I am, as always, your charming host, Kevin Cleary. New episodes drop twice a week. Mondays for all the midweek action. Thursdays, like today's episode, for the weekend slate. Special thanks to the fine folks at sofascore.com, which is my favorite website for sports statistics and results, and I use them when I crunch a lot of the numbers to bring to you. We like them. You should go check them out if you want to look up anything on your own. Please subscribe to us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you have any questions or comments or picks of your own to share with us, please email us at drawhunterpodcast@gmail.com. I'll say that again, drawhunterpodcast@gmail.com. From the entire Drawhunter team, thanks for listening. And remember, there is no stopping it. You can't stop it. Draws will happen. Gambling involves risk. Please gamble responsibly. This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. No guarantees are made regarding results or financial gain. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. You must be of legal age to participate in gambling activities. Check your local laws and regulations before placing any bets. This podcast was made by humans.